everyone, it's Jennifer here from Hybrid Rasta Mama, and today we are going to talk about detoxing from toxic mold exposure. As many of you know, I was exposed to toxic mold for years and years without knowing, and of course as soon as I found out, one of the first things I wanted to do was begin the detox process. I have been exposed to mold several times since that original occurrence, and I always go back to my tried and true method because it works for me. It's worked for my daughter, and based on the blog posts that I have out there about my experience detoxing from toxic mold, it has worked for a lot of you. So I thought today I would go ahead and record a video and share a little bit about the products that I use that I have found helpful in hopes that they would also help you. So one thing, please remember, I am not a medical professional. I'm just simply sharing my experience about what helped me detox properly from toxic mold exposure. So the first thing that everybody needs to remember is that detoxing is a journey. It is not something that is going to happen overnight. It took a while for your body to accrue all of the toxins and the biotoxins from the toxic mold, and to accrue all the health damage. And so it is going to take a lot of time to repair your body. Although a lot of the things that I suggest can make some immediate improvements, but for the most part, you are going to experience at least a few weeks of having to use some of these supplements on a regular basis before you really begin to notice improvements. But again, it really depends on the individual. Some people are fast detoxers, other people are very slow detoxers, and that comes down to genetics. Unfortunately, I'm not a very good detoxer, so I have to work very, very hard and do a lot of extra things. So today, I'm going to kind of just share a general basic detox protocol and what the majority of people probably would benefit from. So first, let's look at some of the products. I have some of the products on hand to be able to show you. So first, one of the things that I really, really love is my air purification candle, if everybody can see that. These things are wonderful. I have them all over my house, and I use them almost every single day. You only need to burn it for about an hour, and the great thing about these is that they have been independently lab tested to actually reduce the mycotoxin load in your environment. And the mycotoxins, of course, are what causes mold to be toxic and what gives you those health problems. So these things are absolutely wonderful. I have relied on them for years. I will never be without them. I buy them by the case, literally, so I always have them on hand and will never run out. They do last and burn for a pretty long time, especially if you're using them as stated on the packaging. So this is one of the things I always like to have going, because if you're trying to detox, you're going to have, of course, better success if you're not overburdening your body with other toxins, and that includes everything from household chemicals to mold spores to bacteria and viruses, and this sucker really does knock a lot of that out. So it's very important to keep your actual air as clean as you possibly can, so that as you are detoxing, your body is able to utilize what you're putting into it in a more effective manner instead of battling with all these other toxins that you might be coming into contact with in your home or work environment. Something else that kind of goes along with this is, of course, air filters, and I have that in the blog post that I'm linking to, so I'm not going to get really in-depth and show you all my air filters, but I do have an air filter per room in my home. I also have put a special filter in my HVAC unit, just again to help really reduce what is able to come into my house. I rely heavily on these air filters. I travel with them. I firmly believe that you need to purify your air as much as possible, again, because if your body is overburdened with toxins that are coming in from the surrounding environment, it's not going to be able to rid itself of the toxins that you're exposed to. So air purification candles and air filters are a great start to getting your air as clean as possible so your body can begin healing. I use a near-infrared sauna, and I love saunas because even though I live in the desert and it is very, very hot here for the bulk of the year, it's a different kind of sweating. A sauna pulls toxins deep from within your body, And this is a great way to really jumpstart your body's ability to start flushing those toxins out with the supplements that I am recommending. When you use a sauna, well, actually it's great if you can get a sauna that has both near, far, and mid infrared. That's the ideal sauna, but those are very, very expensive. So don't feel bad if all you can do is a near infrared, because that is going to do a lot for you. I personally use a sauna 5 days a week. I do believe that you need to give your body a little break in between, so I might use it for 2 or 3 days in a row, take a day off, 2 or 3 days in a row, take a day off. And I typically stay in there about 30 to 40 minutes, and the temperature in there is about 120 to 124 degrees. So using a sauna is not something that you want to jump right into. You definitely want to work up in terms of how long you're in there, as your body begins to get used to it, and always making sure that you're staying very, very hydrated. You absolutely do not want to use a sauna if you're already dehydrated, so be sure that you're staying hydrated so that you can effectively use that. But I can't recommend a sauna enough. And again, in my post, I link to various options for saunas. You don't have to break the bank getting yourself a sauna. There's a lot of ways to kind of do it yourself. There are, of course, very expensive, very fancy saunas out there, and don't feel bad if you can't afford that. Just do your best, and you can even turn your shower into a dry sauna, believe it or not. So exercise, I've talked a lot about exercise in various mold posts that I've written, and one of the gentlest and best ways to get your lymph system really moving and to really just stimulate all of your organs is to use a rebounder. Basically, that's just a very small trampoline, and the action of the bouncing, and you're not going crazy and jumping and flipping and doing the things that you would maybe on a larger trampoline. This is simply a very gentle bouncing motion. My feet never even leave the trampoline. They're on the trampoline the whole time, or the rebounder. But basically, it does everything from moves the cerebral spinal fluid, it detoxes all the fat tissue. So, toxins love to be stored in all the fatty tissue, so it really starts to flush and detoxify those. It's great for your intestines and your whole digestive system. So getting yourself a rebounder and gently bouncing is a wonderful, wonderful way to not only get exercise, but also to flush a lot of systems in your body. So that's a great, great complement to your whole detox regime. Something else that I think is really important, and again, these are not supplements, these are just things to be doing in order to enhance the supplements that you're going to take, but using this laundry additive product, I use this in every single solitary load of laundry, because you never know where you might have picked up some rogue mold spores or other toxins. This again removes and deactivates the mycotoxins and the mold spores. And you think about it, your clothing is something that's on your body almost 24 hours a day. And if you have toxins in those clothes, if you have mold spores in those clothes and they're touching your skin, again, that's not giving your body the opportunity to be able to properly detox, because it's trying to deal with all of the toxins that it's currently being attacked by. So those are kind of the complements to the supplements that I recommend. So in terms of the actual cleaning your system and detoxing, a sinus rinse is very, very important. You have to get those spores out of your sinus cavity, because think about it. How is this all connected? In the nose, into the brain. So if you're not regularly rinsing your sinuses to get those rogue mold spores out, to get other bacteria and viruses and things like that out, then you're not going to be able to properly detox, and especially detox your brain, because that's just a direct link. I do in my blog post have a link to the sinus rinse system that I use. It's super easy. It's not one of those neti pot, whatever things. I never liked those. This is a much easier system. My daughter has been using it since she was 6 years old. She doesn't love it. So it's a little bit of a battle sometimes to get her to do it. And the great thing is, once you use that regularly, and I was using it twice a day, every day for several months, but then, once you're really doing well with your detox, you can back down and just use it a few times a week. Or if you've been somewhere there might be moldy material or mold spores flying around, maybe after a big storm, if you've had a lot of wind in your area, things like that. But the sinus rinse system is just a great thing to have on hand, period. So down to the actual supplements. Charcoal, activated charcoal. And please definitely do refer to my blog posts because not all charcoal is the same. This particular brand I love. It's very clean. It's sourced from coconut. Yes, there is a lot of debate about coconut and whether or not it has mold. And in fact, depending on how coconut is processed, yes, it can. But they're very, very careful. And we'll just say this is non-moldy charcoal. So anyway, activated charcoal is what's known as a binder. And a binder is very, very important. And really, in terms of supplements, it's the first step to detoxing. Because you can do everything I mentioned, the sauna, the rebounding, keeping your environment clean. But if you have mold in your system and you don't have a way for the mold to bind and get out, then it's going to stay in there. So the activated charcoal actually will soak up all the mold spores and the mycotoxins, and then other things that you're doing are going to flush those out of your system. So it's very important to note, though, with charcoal, you need to keep a steady stream in your system, but you have to take it 2 hours away from food and other supplements because it literally soaks up everything in your system. So you don't want it soaking up your nutrients from your food. You don't want it soaking up your other medications. I was taking this 4 times in a 24-hour period. It's a little tricky to do, and I am more than happy to help you figure out a schedule of how to work activated charcoal into your day. You just have to shoot me an email, not a problem. I've kind of have it down to a science about how it's best timed, and I'm very happy to provide that information to you. But this is a great charcoal, and again, if you can get it in your system 3 to 4 times in a 24-hour period, you're going to be very well served because it's going to be constantly in there grabbing. One thing to note, this is not something you necessarily take long term because, again, it grabs everything in your system and you don't, over a long period of time, want it to grab all the good guys. So this is something that I kind of recommend you do in stages. So you might take this for 6 weeks, give yourself a couple-week break. Go back, take it for 4 weeks, give yourself a couple-week break. And again, there's no hard line about how many months you should take this. I've been taking it on and off for years. And so you kind of will be able to feel, oh wow, this really is working. I feel as though my system is getting flushed. I'm feeling better. And then maybe you take a break and you realize, okay, nope, I need to go back on it again. So again, this is something that's pretty easy to self-regulate and figure out if your system is needing it. But again, please refer to my post because I do give you all of the information about the best brands of charcoal because they're not all created equal and they're not all safe. Also, if you are opposed to charcoal or can't take it, bentonite clay is also a great binder. You need to take that in liquid form as opposed to pill form, and not everybody loves the taste of clay, so it can be a little rough going down, but it is also a great binder, very effective, and I do have a link to that on my website as well. The next supplement is something called Phytozone. And this is a newer to me supplement. This is not something that I started taking originally after the mold event in 2014 came to a head. This was something I actually found out about 2 years ago. And I learned about it through one of the practitioners that I was working with at the time. And I was absolutely blown away by it because this supplement has the ability to actually regenerate healthy cells. And when you have been exposed to toxic mold and mycotoxins, your cells all through your body get really, really just mashed up. Some of them completely die, and some of them just get very, very weak. Others are, we'll just say kind of morphed a little bit. But this product, and again, in the interest of time, I won't go into a long, a whole long thing here about this, but Phytozone is fantastic. I have really, really noticed a huge difference using this product, and this is something that I take every day. I take it at breakfast and I take it again before bed. Your kids can take it, basically any child over the age of 2. So for an adult, anywhere from 2 per day to 4 per day, and for a child, 1 per day is great. And this not only helps with cellular regeneration, but it also has the added benefit that it protects you from EMFs. So EMFs obviously aren't doing you any favors if you're trying to detox from mold. And so being able to process the EMFs and protect yourself from the EMFs with the supplement is very, very beneficial. So I can't recommend this supplement highly enough. I wish I knew about this back when I first began my detox journey, because I actually think I would have detoxed a lot quicker with this. So fantastic product. I do have a link obviously to this on my website as well. So let's see here. Glutathione. All right. Not all glutathione is created equal. And if you don't know what glutathione is, the short version is this is one of the most important things you can regularly put into your system, period. But when it comes to detoxing, this is huge. This and phytosone. Big, big, big. Glutathione is the body's master antioxidant. And really, it's the primary antioxidant for detoxification. So any doctor you go to who knows anything about proper detox definitely will do something in terms of glutathione. When I first began the detox journey, I was taking a compounded liposomal supplement for glutathione. It was very, very expensive. It had to be special ordered, and I had to order large amounts of it in order to get a halfway decent price on it. And I did it, but there's definitely a better way, and it's through these glutathione patches. They're just little round patches. There's some very particular places that you place these on the body. You wear one for a 24-hour period, and then you replace it. So basically what I do is I just put one on after I shower, and then wait the 24 hours, and after I shower again, put a new one on. I'm only using these about 3 to 4 days per week. But back when I first learned about them, when I was still in the major throes of detoxification, I was putting a new one on every day. The great thing about this is when you have a patch system like this, and it's a transdermal patch, you are getting all the effects immediately from the glutathione. It doesn't have to be processed by your liver. It doesn't have to go through any other channels. It's not getting stuck in your digestive tract, and it's going straight into your system. So these glutathione patches are absolutely amazing, and they're very, very affordable in comparison to the liposomal glutathione, which really is the only other form of glutathione that you want to take. If you're just taking a pill or a tincture or something like that, it's actually not working, and it's a big waste of money. So if you were taking a liposomal glutathione supplement and like it, wonderful. If not, this is definitely where it's at. And again, that's on my site. So brain support. I have a lot of recommendations, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but a lot of us who go through mold end up with some neurological issues. It's something that's very common, and it's nothing to be embarrassed about, and it is something that you can heal. The phytosone absolutely helps with this because, again, it's able to repair brain cells along with other cells. But there are other supplements out there to help support your brain. If you find that the mold has maybe affected your memory, there are supplements to help with that. If you feel that it's just kind of messed up your focus and things like that, that's understandable. So there are supplements, and I have linked to those. But you definitely want to consider some brain support, although when you're looking at detoxification and budget, that is not something that's necessarily a first priority. Also, CBD oil can be very good for your neurological issues as well, because it does reduce inflammation. I have my trusty bottle of CBD oil here, and I actually do take quite a bit of CBD oil, about 100 milligrams per day for various reasons, but CBD oil definitely helps with inflammation in your brain, and so that right there can definitely help with any of the neurological issues. So a couple other pretty important supplements to take are antifungal type nasal sprays. And when I, again, first went through the event in 2014, I was having a special nasal spray compounded, and I was using, it was kind of a glutathione-based nasal spray along with antifungals. It was very, very expensive, and it stung, and it was horrible to try to get my daughter to use it. She would run and scream and cry, and then of course now her nose is stuffed up and we can't use it. So over the course of the years, I have looked for another product that would act in a similar fashion as an antifungal nasal spray, and trying to find one that's affordable and effective. So I have two different products that I now recommend and use. The first is a citrus drops nasal spray. This is an all-natural homeopathic antifungal, essentially. Amazing, absolutely amazing. I use this now for all kinds of things. I use this for just kind of general environmental allergies. I do, of course, use it in terms of clearing out my sinuses from any mold exposure. But this is a fantastic product. It has been so well tested and so well formulated, and it really, really works fabulously. So I can't recommend this enough in terms of your antifungal nasal spray. In addition, sinus defense. This is kind of marketed as a sinus congestion relief type of supplement, but it's really great to pair with the citrus drops, because between the two of these, this works differently. I'm sorry, this one goes under your tongue. You spray this in your mouth. And so, you know, they work in two different manners, because you're taking this sublingually and it gets into your system in a different way than using a nasal spray. But they both really kind of work together synergistically. And so I always take these together. If I am going to use the sinus defense, you can definitely use these citrus drops separate. You don't have to use them with the sinus defense, but I never really use this by itself. I usually use these two together. So those are fantastic, because that really is going to help a ton with getting those sinuses healthy, and also just repairing all that damaged tissue in there, because the mold definitely weakens your sinus walls, and a weak sinus wall allows for things to permeate, and mold spores love to get up in there and do their damage. So that's kind of the basics of the protocol that I use. You'll see, I mean, it's not a lot of products, especially supplement-wise. You know, you're just talking about really 5 or 6 supplements. There's a lot of other things that I have taken along the way, and I really didn't find them to be effective. I found all they did was drain my pocketbook, and it's taken a lot of trial and error. I mean, I had the first practitioner I worked with was a very, very knowledgeable environmental doctor. She's one of the leading mold doctors in the world. But she had me really on so much stuff, and that was great because I did need it at the time. But I felt like after 6 months, you know, here I was spending $800 to $1,000 just on myself for supplements, and not to mention my daughter. She was more around like $600 a month. I didn't have that kind of money, and again, so over the years, I have really tried to find what works at an affordable price with limited number of supplements, because let's face it, nobody wants to be sitting here taking 50 supplements 3 times a day, and there's a lot of mold protocols where that is exactly what you'll be doing. So I'm not saying that this is a hard and firm only way to get healthy. This is just what I do and what works for me. I have a lot more information in the post, including lifestyle adaptations that I made and things like that, so definitely hop over there and look at that. But I just kind of wanted to introduce you to these supplements, and as always, reach out anytime with questions. Leave a question in the comment section, and I'm happy to answer it. All right, take care.